Hi y'all, this is Larry at Deep South, Texas, and today we're going to be planting sweet potatoes. And here are the sweet potatoes we will be planting. These were from what we harvested last fall, and some of them are starting to grow some shoots on them, and we're going to get them in the ground. Now, we're not planting these to grow sweet potatoes here. We're planting these sweet potatoes to grow slips. And we'll harvest those slips in 6 or 7 weeks and plant those slips in the ground to grow the sweet potatoes. So, we're going to take these sweet potatoes and bury them about 4 inches into the ground. So, since they already have some sprouts on them, I'm going to try not to break those sprouts. But I'm hoping to have slips, like I say, in 6 or 7 weeks. At that time, my regular potatoes should be out of the ground and harvested, and then I will be able to plant the sweet potato slips and carry on from there. Keep using those beds as efficiently as I can. So last year I got my sweet potatoes planted kind of late. I didn't get the slips started until after I had harvested my potatoes. So this year I'll be quite a bit earlier and hopefully give my potatoes my sweet potatoes a lot more time to grow. Maybe we'll get some bigger sweet potatoes this year. Okay. Well, since I have you here now, let's take a quick look at the rest of the garden. Well, almost everything has been planted now for this year's garden. These cabbages are still left over from planting in the fall. They finally look like they're going to do something, but I need to harvest them soon because I want to put peppers in this space. Eggplant. This volunteer eggplant's doing fine. A couple more cabbages over here. And tomatoes. So most of the tomatoes survived that freeze that we had. I'm sure that it set them back a little bit. In fact, the garden this year is 2 or 3 weeks behind my garden from last year. My very second YouTube video was about this time of year last year, and if you go check that out, you'll see most of the plants were quite a bit farther along than they are this year. And that's especially true for the onions. They're all looking good, but they're quite a bit farther behind where they were last year. One thing that's not behind are the potatoes. The potatoes are looking good. Basically, I planted them in January as soon as I could get sweet seed potatoes, and they're looking pretty good. Beans last year, which were already up a couple feet by now, we haven't even got them out of the ground yet. Now, these are rattlesnake beans planted here. It's my first year for growing those, but they're not up. And I have cucumbers in these 2 buckets. I had been growing cucumbers or trying to grow them on this trellis over here, but they weren't doing very well, so I thought I'd move them out to give them a little more sun. So now on this trellis I've planted some Blue Lake pole beans, which is the typical kind of pole beans we normally grow. And they're coming up, and we'll see if they deal a little bit better with the lack of sun than the cucumbers did. And I have potted up my celery that I grew from seed, and I think I have like 2 celeries in each one of these pots, and I have 4 pots. They're all looking really good. And then in this bed there are about 10 Better Boy tomato plants, and again, they're all looking good, but considerably not as far along as my tomatoes were last year. The Yukon Gold potatoes, though, are doing great. They've grown all the way out of their bed. They're all flopping over. Looking forward to a bountiful harvest from these. And my leeks are well ahead of where they were last year. These were leeks that I planted from seed, and I think I did a better job of getting them planted in a timely manner this year. So they're looking good. I have also planted some Cherokee tan pumpkins that I received from Deep South Homestead, and they're in the ground now, and I think they're doing okay. I've never grown these before, but looking forward to that this year. The sweet corn is doing really well. I tried to give you a shot of this a couple weeks ago, but they had just poked up. I don't think they were showing up, but they're 6 or 7 inches tall now and looking good. And my eggplant that I have planted in this box that has been flowering and flowering and flowering is finally starting to put on a bunch of small eggplants. So there's at least a half a dozen on here, maybe as many as 10 right now. So happy about that. More tomatoes. They seem to be doing well. I did lose 2 or 3 tomatoes in the freeze, or at that same time. I'm not sure it was due to the freeze or something else, but I did lose a couple. More tomatoes here. We have some peppers planted in this box. These are some red bell peppers here, and a couple of plebanos here, and then a small red chili plant that I took the seeds from an ornamental heart we got a couple years ago. The volunteer cherry tomato plants have been putting on a lot of tomatoes. We've been picking a few of these every day for the last couple weeks, but there's bunches of tomatoes coming on. I still have a couple tomato plants that haven't made it into the ground yet, and also some plebano peppers. Just waiting for some space to free up to get those planted. Also this spring we added a couple more boxes to my wife's sort of flower garden. Her flowers keep getting moved out of the main garden and over to the side here. They're all looking pretty good too. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed how we planted those sweet potatoes to grow slips. Again, in 6 or 7 weeks we'll have slips ready to plant into one of our main garden beds to grow sweet potatoes this year. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please subscribe. We'll see you again next time.